Hello, I am Umbrenero and welcome back to Umbrenero's Life. Today's video is my March 2024 plan with me. For March, I decided to do a Donkey Kong theme to continue my year of gaming related themes. My monthly calendar just was a simple layout inspired by Donkey Kong Country for the Super Nintendo system. I played this game a lot with a family member that I lost a few years ago, which is why I wanted it to represent this month. As you can see, calendar is very simple, and then my little bit of a background design like I mentioned previously. It was a quick, very easy design to do, in all fairness, and it just brought back a lot of memories and good times. And like always, I do have my key somewhere on my monthly calendar page with the usual areas that I have something in. For my monthly log, however, that I took inspiration from the early Donkey Kong games where Donkey Kong was in the city throwing barrels at Mario, stuff like that. So that means it has more of an industrial layout with beams, ladders, that kind of stuff. And my monthly log is just a simple 2-column spread where each side is where I put my stuff for the month. I did print a lot of my headers out in advance because I found a font that looked very close to the Donkey Kong in-game font. So, to make it tie the pages all together, that's what I used to do that. Also, I printed a good number of barrels and bananas that end up getting used throughout this theme. Because I learned very quickly drawing small bananas was not something I am skilled at. For my habit tracker, the month of March was a lot easier and nicer than February's. I decided to use an element from the Donkey Kong games, right, where you get launched out of barrels and you have to pick up the bananas. So, the barrel is the habit, and the lines of bananas are the days that I completed said habit. I didn't have 31 bananas for each day in March, but I had enough for the remaining days because, in all fairness, this setup got done, I believe, on March 9th, 8th or 9th, I believe, and I was a little bit behind, so I decided to go with the thought of I don't need to have all of the bananas because I missed a third of the month already. But then each day that a habit was completed, I colored in a banana to represent it being done. I did quickly go through and label the barrels, but I could have left them blank and chose something else to do it, but it worked. For my goals and things, it was again a very simple layout. I glued in the header, made more beams and ladders, and then I added a barrel somewhere on the page as well, just to help keep the theme going between all the pages. On this one, I made it look a little bit more uneven with the beams, like they were broken and some of them only were going up part of the way, just to give it something different but staying in the theme. So my content plan continued the pattern of easy layouts, as I wasn't sure where I was going to go with my content planning at this time. So I just made a generic layout that I could do just about anything with. The nice thing with the easy layouts that I did is I didn't have to have my headers perfect on the page. They could be crooked, they could be not centered. It didn't matter. I got to have a little bit more freedom in that aspect. For my for my weekly setup, I decided to lump the first portion of the month together on one page. Like I said before, I was behind on setting up my layouts, and I just wanted to get caught up. So the 1st through the 9th were just lumped together, all 9 on one page. Made it quick, easy. Not much design element was brought in here. At this point, I had a lot to do that I usually don't show on camera. But I decided in March that I was going to. So, one of the things I usually don't show is cutting out things and preparing things that need to be added into my journal. But for March, I kind of wanted to show some of that. And in reality, this takes quite a while depending on how many things I need to cut out. And as you can see, I had barrels with a number on them, representing each of the rest of the days of the month, and I had to cut them all out, so it was just the barrel and really no edging left on the side of each one. And kind of a funny little thing is while I'm recording the audio for this video, I am cutting out a whole bunch of things for another plan with me that I am going to be recording later today and hopefully having out in the next couple days. So you can imagine how long it takes to cut out some of these things, because depending on how detailed the item is will change how much time it takes to cut out the said items. I believe for the barrels that I was cutting out, it was taking me around 45 minutes to cut out all of the barrels I ended up using for my weekly logs. After they were all cut up was determining the box sizes for the week. I simply drew lines across the page and glued in the barrels. I wanted more decoration in the weekly logs compared to the prior page. So I added ladder elements that I used previously in the empty box on each weekly page, and on some of these they varied how I made the little tie-in to the theme look. I did have extra banana printouts that I stuck in random spots just to use them up and get more of the Donkey Kong feel in each little spread. The last thing I had to do was go in and put little bits of detail of gray on each of the barrels because I had forgot about that when I was cutting them all out, and I could have done it then, but I didn't. And then I ended up repeating this process for the rest of the weeks in the month. For this week here, I wanted to reference the Banana Mountain from Donkey Kong Country. It could have turned out a lot better than it did, but hey, I wanted to bring in another little design element of Donkey Kong other than barrels, so I had a little bit of fun with it. But in all fairness, how do you draw a banana mountain and make it look very realistic from far away? Especially when you're not good at drawing bananas. And then I did the same thing for the final full week of March. This time I did go back to the easier layout design with the ladders and beams, just so that way I wasn't having to figure out how to draw something else that could have been complex. But thinking about it now, I could have easily drawn one of the mine carts that DK and Diddy rode around in Donkey Kong Country when they were in the mine levels. I could have easily done that. That would have actually been kind of neat. But that's the stuff you think of after you finish a layout. As for my reflection, I decided to go back to the simple layout because I wanted to just get this done with, get going so that way I could actually start using the spread. So I continued with the beams, the ladders, just to fill up the page and divide it up into sections for my reflection. And throughout the whole month, I did not draw anything that really looked like Donkey Kong, Donkey Kong's tie, like Diddy Kong. Well, there was a reason for that. I wanted to have a little spot on the last page where you see his tie flapping onto the page because he just ran past. Like he was busy running around for the whole month. Kind of like I was. But once I had his tie in, I went through, stuck in a couple barrels, gave the little details I needed to, and then I added in my little section headers, which very simple and self-explanatory. In all, this was a theme I enjoyed to create. It had personal meaning to me, which made me utilize it more. So, thank you for watching, and until next time, I am Umbrenero. Bye!